Hey, episode 97 of the Nashville Artist Podcast is now out, featuring the multi-talented Joel Barnett. Joel is a painter, woodworker, drummer, and pro BMX rider. The first extreme athlete to join our roster of incredible artists. His insights span multiple industries. In this episode, we dive into Joel's early roots in BMX, exploring wall riding, stalling, and other tricks. He shares his unique visualization techniques, crafting models of skate parks and ramps from wood and cardboard to practice with tech decks and finger bikes. After injuries, he learned to manifest tricks on these handmade models, studying the physics needed to execute them in real life. A compelling moment arises when Joel reflects on his mantra, "What does right now need?" This phrase helps him stay grounded amidst his busy life. We also delve into the lore of Porter Trails, a mystical spot in East Nashville where massive dirt jumps were built for an unforgettable BMX experience. For Joel and fellow Nashville riders, these dirt mounds were not just jumps, they were sculptures crafted through hard work. Joel's abstract art showcases textures and colors that create relief patterns, emphasizing the importance of letting action guide the process. Enjoy the podcast episode. I'll ask you this week.
Yeah.
What have you been up to today?
Just a long day at work. Yeah.
Where was work?
I am the ops director at Aberdeen, so we're a custom cabinetry shop here in East Nashville.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how long have you been doing that?
I've been there it'll be 2 years in April.
Wow.
Yeah, but I've been in woodworking for the last 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah, it kind of took an existential moment and just like shifted what I wanted to do in woodworking.
Right.
That was it.
When you do woodworking, like building the cabinets, sanding them, like how does that work?
These days, I'm in a couple different positions, but like when I started, it was building cabinets and furniture, tables and stuff like that. And now I'm kind of, I guess I would say just like a problem solver. I'm just kind of piecing all the parts of the business together and make sure it runs smoothly. Everyone has what they need, and yeah.
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah.
And you just got off recently?
Yeah, I got off at 4:30. Took my girlfriend to the airport. She's flying back home to Boston for the weekend, long weekend, best friend's baby shower. So
nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
So it's just me and the dog this weekend. We're doing all the guy things.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, happy to have you here.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, we'll get started. Hey everyone, welcome to Nashville Artist. I'm Jordan, and today Joel Barnett is here. Thank you for coming over.
Thank you.
I'm doing this. So where are you from?
I'm from about 20 minutes outside of Scranton, Pennsylvania. So Northeast, kind of born and raised. I feel like the Northeast is so small that I grew up in every little part of it, like between Syracuse and Rochester and Buffalo and Albany. I was just always traveling around to those areas.
Oh yeah. Do you have any siblings?
I have a younger brother, 3 years younger than me.
Nice. What is his name?
Luke. So we both have Bible names.
Bible names.
Which is a big part of the story as well, I guess.
I understand. I have a Bible name too.
Yeah.
The River.
The River.
So is Luke also into like BMX or music or art?
Music, yeah, not BMX. I mean, we did some of that stuff when we were younger together, but we kind of went different directions, and we kind of connect on other things like movies and cooking, food, all that fun stuff. But
nice.
Yeah. still got a connection, but it's just, yeah, I have a very different, kind of like you were saying with your brothers, just like very different kind of life paths. Yeah.
Yeah. What about your parents? Are they into music or art? Or?
Oh yeah, they love, I mean, I think I got most of my music from them. In a lot of ways, they listen to a lot of Christian rock music, and it's weird to think about it now, but like kind of like groupies, like they just love these bands so much. And my parents are very, very giving, very helpful people. And so they'd always volunteer to help any of these bands that came to town, and they would work merch for them, or they would do whatever they needed. They would pick them up from a hotel. So being a drummer, I was just like, these were my favorite bands. And so I would like have drumsticks ready for them to sign and all this fun stuff. So yeah, they very musical people, and they had a band when I was growing up. And
really?
Yeah, it was a small band, local type of band, but that pushed me into playing music and playing drums from, I think I was 3 or 4 when my grandparents got me my first drum kit.
Wow.
So been a long time.
Wow. What bands were they into?
Oh, they were into like Newsboys and Petra and Whiteheart and so many just like 90s Christian bands.
Okay, what about like Jars of Clay?
Jars of Clay, absolutely. DC Talk, everything.
Rich Mullins.
Rich Mullins is great.
Yeah.
I love Rich Mullins.
Yeah,
is
he's
such
the best out of all of them.
Every time I feel like Rich Mullins is like, he's the guy.
Dude.
Yeah.
Just bearing his soul.
Yeah.
The darker side of Christianity.
Absolutely. But I mean, we can go on a whole tangent with that, but I feel like people like him kind of allowed so many other people to find their voice.
Definitely.
Like, asking questions and pursuing things.
Definitely. I mean, have you like seen or know anything about his background?
No, I actually don't. No.
Okay. He had like pretty crazy upbringing, and then he became like this famous like artist.
Yeah.
And he had this huge confliction about being a Christian and also being famous and wealthy.
Interesting.
And so he told his record company, like, only pay me the medium salary of a U.S. or like U.S. citizen, and then donate the rest. And then also like, because they would always come to him and be like, we'll get you a new Jeep.
Yeah.
We'll buy you a motorcycle.
Interesting.
And he's like, I don't want any of that. And then he like, on his last 2 years of life, he lived on an Indian reservation.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Now I'm going back to Rich Mullins deep dive.
Because he was like he would walk around barefoot.
Yeah.
The reason he died is he didn't wear a seatbelt.
Yeah, it was a car accident, wasn't it?
Yeah, his Jeep flipped.
Wow.
And then he flew out and then got ran over by an 18-wheeler.
Whoa.
It was on the highway.
That's crazy.
And his passenger survived because he wore a seatbelt.
I had no idea.
Yeah. Anyways, not to start on this dark, but I think his story is like remarkable.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah,
because he's like, he lived like such a stellar life, but he always felt this like conflict. Like, I'm not living the life that
yeah.
He like, now I have money influence and I don't like this. Like,
interesting.
Now I don't feel like Jesus will accept. Like,
sure.
Yeah. So he became a raging alcoholic.
I had no idea about any of that. That's
And
crazy.
Yeah, but yeah, I love his story.
Okay.
It's very moving.
Yeah.
And inspiring, and also just like you feel for the guy.
Yeah. I mean, it is funny too to kind of think about, I mean, part of moving to Nashville was learning more about the industry side of Christianity, and that in general, like, you don't see a lot of those stories because you're just getting the marketed side of it. Right. And then there's all this human side. I mean, talk about Ray Boltz, and like mid-90s, he came out, and then all of a sudden all the radio stations around us were like, we don't play him anymore. And it's like, oh, interesting. That's like a hard line of like, we don't accept this type of person anymore, even though we play all his music and have loved him our entire lives. And that's when I started like, I don't know. That's when I started having more questions about what was going on and what people were actually motivated by.
Yeah.
But
I mean, at the end of the day, the record company has to make money, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
So, at the expense of the artist.
Yeah, but
anyways, so what were you into as a kid?
I feel like everything. But I mean, drums, BMX, always art, always music. I always had my CD player with me in my, I don't know what it was, but as soon as I got a CD player, I was just listening to music all the time. What else? I mean, I loved being outside. I loved going off and exploring, and we lived like in very rural area. Like we don't have a traffic light. It was one stop sign. There was just farm country all around. And so a lot of the property was like properties around us were like woods and hunting areas and stuff. So we knew all of our neighbors and we could just go explore wherever. And so that was a lot of the upbringing was just, I mean, there was a huge kind of, not a mountain, but like a tall hill. I don't know how I describe it, but it had a bunch of caves in it. And so we'd explore that like growing up. And I don't know, it was just a lot of outdoors. And then, I mean, my dad's a pastor, so there was a lot of church upbringing too. And so there was just a lot of people all around and a lot of activities and events, but yeah, concerts, a lot of BMX, a lot of drums.
Nice.
Yeah.
Who were your like influences as a drummer, like when you were that young?
Oh, when I was young, I mean, I followed my parents' influences first and foremost. So it was like Peter from the Newsboys and Louis Weaver from Petra. So it's like the same types of people. And then beyond that, I mean, as I started getting into different types of music, man, I can't even think of like, I don't remember the names of anyone back then. It was just like, I like how that sounds. Yeah. And then it got a little more formative, and it was kind of like listening to, what was it? Lance Garvin? Garvin? I'm blanking, but from Living Sacrifice was a favorite drummer for a long time. And yeah, just, I don't know, the heavy music kind of came in and just started picking people in that genre.
Oh yeah, nice. So like, when did you first get into like BMX and like other art and whatnot?
BMX was, I mean, I remember like got one of my first bikes that had like training wheels on it and just always wanted to ride it. And there was one day that my parents were always like, you like ask us to get it out and stuff like that. And there's one day my friend and I were like so excited that we just went and got it anyway. And we dropped it down the stairs of our front porch, and like one of the training wheels like broke. And my dad was like, that's it. Like, we told you. And so I had to learn how to ride like from not having that. And so it became this thing that was just like so magnetic from the start. Like truly, like looking back on it, like I don't know if other people have the same experience, but it was something that like it felt like it was portaled into my life of like, you're doing this and you like, this is gonna fit so much of the story of your life, or like the fabric of it. But then it was just like the normal thing where I just rode it a lot. And then I started taking it off of like little dirt mounds in the front yard. And then I think it was like 97 or so, maybe 96, something like that. My dad was coming back from a trip to see his sister in Dallas, and brought back a magazine. And then he like put it on the table, and it was this BMX magazine. I had no idea that this like world existed. And I just remember being so enamored like in our kitchen, just reading this thing, being like, what is this? Like I had no idea that this whole other world, like on the West Coast or even on the East Coast, existed. And so my mind was blown, and I was like hooked immediately. It was like the subculture, the style of clothing, everything. It was just like, talk about just being a sponge. Like I just like this is what I want to do.
In the beginning, who were some of your favorite BMX riders?
Matt Hoffman for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I mean, it feels like an easy answer these days because everyone knows him for all of his crazy accomplishments. And I think that's fair, but also like there's a reason. Like he's a go-to because he did influence so many people. And I have a letter, or not a letter, but a little essay that I wrote in like third or fourth grade about who my hero was, and it was Matt Hoffman. And it was just like as a small kid, like I just loved everything about him.
Wow.
And ended up like my first real bike was his signature bike, and I
was
remember
it a Huffy?
Hoffman. Yeah, but it was like I went down to the bike shop that was like 40 minutes away because we lived in the middle of nowhere, and I remember picking it out and just being like, this is the bike. And then that bike kind of stayed with me for so many years that became a formative part of BMX for me, and people always knew that I rode the chrome Hoffman bike. So
wow,
yeah,
that's awesome. Did you have rear pegs and front pegs?
Yeah, everything. And then like as I got like, I started noticing things in the sport, and people were like, why don't they have front brakes? And I started realizing that, oh, they did different tricks if they took off their front brakes, and people sometimes take off one side of pegs and only use the other side. And so I was just like, it was like a Rubik's Cube, and it was just like, what's this? And like, try this. And
wow.
Yeah, it was such a large mechanical kind of world to open up and explore from such a young age.
Man, and talk about peak extreme sports.
Yeah.
Like mid-90s.
Yeah, it was
skateboarding, BMX.
Like when the X Games came out, and it was like, I remember in one of the magazines, because I think the first X Games was in Rhode Island, but it was like skydiving, like all the extreme things. And it was so culture driven at the time that it was truly an apex, because so much of the industry died down in the early 90s that in the late 90s, people were like, oh, this is the big thing. And so money was being pumped into it, and then it got televised. And then my aunt and uncle would record stuff on, like, we didn't have like cable or anything. We just had like our 5 local channels type of thing. And so they would record stuff on other channels and then hand me the VHS of like, hey, we saw this BMX thing, and they knew I liked it. And so I was just like, anywhere I could get it, I was just a little fiend.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, that's awesome. Did you ever play with tech decks and stuff like that?
All the time, and finger bikes and everything. And I would make models of skate parks, like out of like cardboard and wood and stuff. And like still up until recently, like when I moved out of my parents' house, they didn't really do anything with my room. Like it just kind of became a catch-all room.
Yeah.
So a lot of it was still in there, but as of like a handful of years ago, I still had like a setup in there, and it was something that I built when I was injured and couldn't ride. And so I would just make these smaller models of it, and like truly, like, now I learned that I was just kind of manifesting and creating it in my mind first, but just like figuring out how things look in this little kind of replica, and then going out and doing it later on, I guess.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
because you can like visually and the physics wise.
Yeah, you're reconstructing it in a different way. It's kind of like you're when you're in it, it's so fast, it's so immediate. Like it's truly like split second. Like every little thing that you do is a minutia, like that is built up over time and muscle memory. But then even when I play video games or anything like that, like the Skate or Tony Hawk games or anything like that, you become this like lens looking at it from a different perspective, and you start to kind of see all the different ways. You're like, oh, okay, I can visualize what that movement looks like, or like would feel like. And then all of a sudden, you start unlocking things. And like you were saying earlier, like a visual learner, I'm a very big visual learner. So the more I saw visually, the more I just was like, gonna file that away. But yeah.
That's amazing. Like, you're one of the first like extreme athletes I've had on here.
Oh, that's fun.
So I was like, man, I've got all kinds of questions for this.
Yeah. It's a weird thing because it's like, it's in the Olympics now. So it's like, it has come a long way just in its infancy of being a sport that was like pretty ostracized in like the early days and associated with a type of lifestyle. And while that still exists, it has like transcended a lot of barriers that, culture put in front of it. And now there's more skate parks in every city, and that has been a huge wave. And it's like, it's great to see because I've only started to realize how impactful the upbringing of being in a skate park or that environment is, because you literally have like all walks of life there. You have the kid like learning how to find balance to the older adult that is like experienced and can kind of pass down some wisdom or, anything like that. So it's really, really cool to see more people understand how much of a community like centerpiece it can be.
Yeah. Definitely. I've seen like community centers like Rocketown do like kids get involved with skateboarding.
Yeah.
And it's like, great. It's an extreme sport and they can do it under safety.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like amazing.
Absolutely. I taught at a summer camp for years, and it wasn't like primarily a skate BMX camp, but it was a camp that had 2 weeks out of the year that they had a skate park that kids would come specifically for that. And it was great. It was so fun to be in an environment where people are like getting to interact with people from all different age levels and experience levels of it, because I think that's pretty inaccessible in a lot of other areas.
It is, where like kids and adults are all doing this, like working on their tricks together.
Absolutely. Like, because it's like the thing that drew me to BMX in so many ways was the individuality of it. Like I loved playing sports. Like I loved being physical and playing sports, and like won got a third place trophy for a free throw district competition. And like I was always like good at sports, but I didn't like the idea of being on a team. I liked, because there was so much kind of like structure to it, and I just wanted to do whatever I wanted to do. But then you start kind of seeing a bit more of how much there is kind of a team kind of like mentality around BMX, where you can help each other out learning things, and you can teach people stuff, and then everyone's a coach type of thing. So yeah, I think it's super cool to have that overlap. And also, it's not like sports where there's just a few people participating at a time. Like everyone can kind of participate. And so, yeah, it's, in hindsight, it's like
the great equalizer.
It really is. It really is. And I had a lot of really, really cool like moments growing up where I got to ride with my favorite BMX professionals at a young age, just because we were at the skate park, just because they traveled from halfway around the world to go to this dirty indoor skate park in Johnson City, New York, that I didn't know would be one of the most impactful skate parks on the whole East Coast, and arguably like the country at times. But these pros would come from all over the world, and then all of a sudden we're on the same ramp together and they're giving me advice. And it's like, that's the masterclass. Like, that's what, I mean, everyone talks about it in comparison, but like Michael Jordan didn't show up to your local court to play or something like that. There was a lot of barriers to accessibility to your favorite people, but like not in BMX,
right?
Like not in skateboarding. They'll be everywhere you are. So
yeah, because like no one's gonna be like, this park isn't worth it. It's like, there's a park, great.
Yeah, or there's not a park, or it's the city, or it's like the streets or whatever. Like it's this it's this unstoppable thing that it's just like you're always activated and looking for it. So
Yeah, I was about to say one of my questions that I was going to get to is like, what are some things you consider when you like scope out a BMX area and be like, this is good? What determines? Or,
it's changed a lot. My motivation has changed a lot. Like as I've gotten older, like when I was younger, I would look for things that would like maybe make me stand out,
oh,
the,
what I'm just mean environment wise.
oh
Like
yeah.
when you like look at a street or
Mm.
like
Um,
a location, I guess.
yeah, I think, well, even like those types of things that I could ride on that, I mean, I love a lot of like, we call them like natural transitions. So it's things that mimic what a skate park would have, but out in the real world, kind of untouched, kind of things like that. And so you look for transitions in the streets and stuff like that. And I love wall rides, like literally just riding on walls. That's like one of the coolest things in the world to me. And it's weird to say that out loud because I realize that not everyone does that, but like I've been doing that for 30 years. Like
It's amazing.
it's crazy to think about.
How far can you ride on the wall before you have to jump down or whatever?
Oh, I don't know. I've ridden pretty high and pretty far on some walls. I can say that. But yeah, it's a feeling unlike anything else. It truly is like you're like sideways and you're sometimes you're even upside down on the wall and
Wow.
you're just like there's a piece of you that is like this isn't real. Like
I'm not supposed to do this.
you're not supposed to. And I think that is the like the punk ethic of it all
Right.
is just like this isn't supposed to be done and that's why we're doing it. And that's why people have done so many things for all of human history is like we're not supposed to do this, so let's do this.
Right.
And like
Danger.
let's there's some risk and
Right.
but there's
You gotta-
ultimate reward too.
Ultimate gain. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that to me is like something I really, really enjoy is the paradox of things, like the this shouldn't be and this is kind of thing. And it's like you shouldn't be on the wall, but you are on the wall, and that's a cool photo, and that's cool interpretation of your surroundings. So yeah, I don't know. It's fascinating.
Yeah. Riding on the walls, man. That's amazing. So like now, how do you? I wanted to. Well, I guess first I'll ask you like, what about like art? Like you also do your visual art and painting and stuff.
Yeah.
How do you? Did you do that in school, or how did you?
Yeah.
About that?
I had an interesting schooling. I went to a private school growing up, and it was small. My class was like 26 to 30 kids, something like that. And I hated being at school for the most part because I like started processing it. I'm like, we're here from 8 in the morning till 2 o'clock. Like we only learn for 45, we only learn for like a fraction of that time. Why am I just not at home when I could be riding my bike? And I literally like by the time I got to 8th grade, I convinced my parents that I should just be homeschooled so I could ride my bike more. And so I did some homeschooling curriculum. And then I eventually like graduated from a cyber charter school because I didn't want to have the structure of school. But when I was in school, I always got my art teacher pushing me, and I didn't take anything seriously. I was just so disconnected, but I was part of an art show and I had this kind of blue abstract painting that had a bunch of geometric shapes on it. And I felt like I didn't try, and I really didn't try at those times, but I was pulled and fascinated by it. But then I showed up, like we would have it all around our gymnasium, and then it would be judged like after school hours. And then you come back in the next day and you kind of go look around and see like who won something. And I remember turning the corner and seeing an honorable mention, like ribbon on mine. I was like, interesting. I was like, I didn't like that. I didn't really like that painting, but someone else did, or someone else saw something in it. And that was when it started to kind of unlock of like, I'm not the only eyes that see this. And so other people will have an interpretation of it that I won't be able to see. And then that opened up a whole curiosity with just like abstract art in general of like, what do you see in this? Like, I see this, what do you see? And I just kind of started to evolve and found other types of mediums and artists that I resonated with, and just tried my best to, you know, not like rip them off in any way, but just like make something that made me feel how I felt looking at their stuff. Very feeling driven, very, very kind of drawn by textures and colors and things that interpret maybe another emotion or feeling. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So did you like, was it painting? Was it?
Yeah, a lot of it was like spray paint and like stencil stuff early on. And I mean, I remember like doodling all the time and drawing ramps. That was a big one. I would just draw ramps all the time. And then I started spray painting and getting into, like, you see it now pretty famously, like street art, like where it looks like they'll put like cans over top of stuff and like do the newspaper like on poster board and stuff like that, and it kind of does a relief. If you layer the spray paint in a certain way, the lower layers stay on there, and you can remove the kind of the top layers and create all these relief patterns and do planets and stuff. And it's super, super cool. And that was something that also drew me into abstract art, was just like, I kind of don't want to know what's next. Like, I want to be surprised by this. Like, I mean, I just kind of became so enamored and curious with just like, what is this? Like, what is this art that's coming out of me, like, doing, or what am I seeing in it, and then reflecting on and then creating more of it. It was fascinating. It was interesting to kind of I don't know, find that part of who I was. Like, I was definitely like probably 15 or 16 playing in a band and creating artwork for the band and stuff like that. So I was driven by other things, but I was also kind of like, where is this coming from? Like, I don't know.
What kind of music were you playing when you were 15?
Oh, I was playing metal music. Yeah.
What like influences or
the band that I was in, we were heavily influenced by like very, metalcore is kind of a weird way to define it, but it was
like,
it was
Sevenfold?
No, like noisy, kind of like chaotic. Like Norma Jean was a big band for us that we pulled a lot of influence from. There was bands like Zao and Society's Finest were huge influence as well. And they were just like these small, all of them were still kind of in the Christian realm of things. And that's where I got a lot of my early music from. I lived in a household that was like, I couldn't have secular music at all. Like, my parents had to read the lyrics and like say, this is good or not. So I just stayed in the Christian realm of music for a long time until later teens. Yeah.
I understand. So play drums, you paint, and
Yep.
you do your BMX.
Yep.
Are there any other instruments or anything I'm missing?
No, can't really play anything else. I mean, I've always wanted to learn piano. I learned part of a piebald song once, but like, no, it wasn't even piebald. Fugazi song. One small little section of a song. But no, just drums.
I understand. So now, how do you develop your skills as a drummer, BMX, painter?
A lot of it is just learning what the new seasons of life and its relationship with it is. Because I feel like every season of life, you're just, at least at this point, you're adding new stuff in all the time. You're kind of different responsibilities or like things that kind of come up, whether with work or responsibilities, friends moving away or not, community shifting. I mean, Nashville's a very transient city. I've had a lot of different friend groups in this city over the time I've been here. So I feel like every couple of years, some people move away or stuff changes. And so you're kind of like reevaluating from time to time. But most of the time now I'm just in my studio, just like trying new things, just like exploring the different ideas that I have, riding bikes. I mean, just creating the things I want to create with it, whether it's going out and filming a video clip of it and kind of bringing an idea into a form, I guess, and then or hanging out with friends and shooting photos or videos. Same, yeah.
Nice. Like when you go to ride your bike, do you have to like? I'm assuming you like warm up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, stretch a lot. I do yoga, so as I've gotten older, it's like something I definitely took for granted when I was younger, and I've torn both my ACLs. I've knocked out my teeth a few times. Like I've had serious injuries.
Wow.
And definitely didn't take it as seriously when I was younger, but I go to yoga weekly. My girlfriend's a certified yoga teacher now. And so like mobility is health. Like,
right.
It's so transformative to just one, be aware of what your body is doing and then like working with it. So yeah, definitely have to stretch, definitely have to warm up, definitely have to kind of like, I mean, a lot of it from doing it for 3 decades is like the muscle memory is all still there. Sometimes it's a little bit distant and rusty, but for the most part, everything comes back pretty easy.
Wow. Wow. So when you at home, do you play your drums to music? Are you in a band right now? Or?
Not in a band right now. It's funny. I moved to Nashville and stopped playing music. I currently don't have a drum set. I just have a practice pad, and it's been a goal this year to get another drum set. So the last one I had at my old studio space, I just didn't have room in my apartment, so I gave it to my friend, and he used it for a while, and I think he may still have it, not sure, but yeah, over the last handful of years, I've had to kind of pick and choose how much I love so many different things that I have to kind of pick and choose what I give my attention to. And drums have always been one of those things that I know will always be there. And I feel like now I have the space again to reintroduce them in a way. And life is just kind of settling in a sense of like, I have the time again to kind of focus on it. And also I'm dying to play again. I'm just like, it's a feeling like, I mean, I feel like over the last 2 months, I've just gone to Guitar Center and just played on the e-kits for a little bit.
Really?
And yeah, just like I'm in Berry Hill. I'm just going to stop by,
right.
Just like feel it again. And just, I mean, that's what I have currently, you know?
That's so great. Dude.
I don't know. It's never going to leave, but you just find different ways to do it in every season.
Right. And stopping in Guitar Center or even Forks.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Just like, I don't know. I tried to like I used to have everything so cut and dry in life. And I think that was a lot of how I was raised and how I interpreted things. And now I just try to flow with things. I'm like, everything for a season. Like, it's okay that I don't have drums right now. Like I try to honor what I do have currently and like find ways to participate still in drumming. I have a drum pad right on my art desk, and like as I'm sitting there like looking at stuff, and I'm just tapping. I'm just like, I'm still with it. I'm just there in a different way.
I understand. So, how about now? Who are like your favorite artists of all time?
Ooh.
Bands?
That's always, I have so many different, like, I like heavy music, and not just like heavy sounding, but heavy emotionally. Like lyrically, tonally, all that. But if you were to say like what bands, I mean, most of the bands I listen to always make me smile when I hear them, but like I really, really love instrumental ambient music. Like Explosions in the Sky is one of my favorite bands. Sigur Rós is one of my favorite bands. Russian Circles is a heavier band that again, mostly all instrumental. I mean, Sigur Rós isn't, but more or less his voice is instrumental.
Yeah,
like
instrumental.
It's
you don't know what he's saying.
No, and I think that's part of what makes it so magical is that element to it. But stuff that I've noticed that with that music, I mean, I've listened to Hammock over and over again during COVID. They had a special Bandcamp thing where they released their whole discography for like a reasonable price, and I bought all their albums. So I just deep dove into Hammock and I don't know, the Album Leaf and all these bands that just kind of give a little bit more space. I feel like a lot of the heavy music I listen to is like pushing a lot of things into your ears, and then ambient music just like lets it all flow out. So
the space, Brian Eno,
or
like Aphex Twin.
I saw that Brian Eno movie at Belcourt not that long ago. It was so good.
Brian Eno movie.
It's like, from what I understand, it's a movie that is never the same twice. Like it uses like a generative software to kind of change it up every time.
Interesting.
So getting to experience that was pretty cool, but that guy's a genius.
Wow. That's cool. I didn't know he had a movie. I'm gonna have to check that out. Do you like One of the Tricks Point Never?
What's that?
One of the Tricks Point Never. It's another artist who makes like ambient music. It's kind of like crazy soundscapes mixed with, I don't know. It's bizarre. It's like Aphex. It's like I would say it's like what is it? Bon Iver mixed with like mixed with like Aphex Twin or something like that.
Cool. No, I haven't heard. I'll have to check them out.
Yeah. That just reminds me, because it's like soundscapes, ambient, but then it's also weird noises. So it's pretty cool. But what inspires your creativity now?
I mean, I feel like inner landscapes is a big one for me now. For years, I created all these abstract paintings that when people would comment on them, they're like, oh, it looks like a galaxy, or it looks like an ocean, or it looks like it was all this like other world kind of things. And I love that. But then I started to kind of see myself in that a little bit. So I started exploring like what that looked like and why I was creating the art I was creating and what was kind of this otherworldly aspect of it. And so now I think that my paintings have become more about like being a mirror. And what's so fun about that is you can kind of expand it a little bit more and kind of go to like the Rorschach side of things of like whatever someone sees in this piece is like they're kind of seeing themselves in what they're seeing. Like they get their energy, their perspective, they're bringing that to the piece. It's not mine anymore. It's like a shared experience. So I think that's been a fun thing to explore, of just like the feelings that I have will ebb and flow. And sometimes, based on the colors I use or the gestures or the layering or texture or whatever it is, it kind of gives maybe a place that I'm at. But then when someone looks at it or experiences it or sees it, like they're bringing their whole world into it as well. So a lot of it right now is just learning how to create conversation with art and how to kind of talk about my art in general. Like that's the big thing that I'm learning now, is just like what is art in my life, and like why do I love and care about it so much, and have been so influenced by like album artwork and street art and cultural like skate and BMX art and all these things that I've just absorbed for my entire life. And now it's like, how does that fit into having like a gallery studio and showing it and hosting and pulling people in and asking them to kind of like share that? So I don't know, just a lot of questions. I think curiosity, questions
Yeah.
is where I come from.
You would say that's like why you're drawn to art.
Yeah. Yeah. And also just like, I love layers. I love texture. And so I'm always looking for ways to kind of make different pieces feel like something else. I love kind of like the depth of when I do epoxy paintings. I would use like an acrylic, use like fluid acrylic and then alcohol ink and stuff like that, and concentrated dyes, and you layer that with epoxy, and then all of a sudden it gives like a light depth to it that is just something else. So I don't know. It's just, again, just trying to be like a kid, just like try something, like just whatever comes in your head. Like try not to get too, don't let it live in your head for too long. Just let it out and like see where it takes you.
Cool. Can you like describe your creative process? Like, do you just like blop something on there and then you're like, I'll go off with this?
Sometimes it's usually a little bit more like I have a lot of different layers to the paintings I do currently, or kind of the ideas I have. And so I'm trying to work on the art of executing and like just getting stuff done, because I get stuck sometimes in layers, and that's interesting. But like the other night, I was like, I haven't just thrown paint around in a while. And so I pulled out some old paintings that had kind of been stagnant for a while, and I just got some color out. And it was just very just like turn up some, I forget what I was listening to at the moment. Maybe Drug Church. And I was just listening to them in my studio and just like splashing some colors around, and just that's a layer. And then, you know, other times I'll get out like a straight edge and do some more geometric stuff, and that will be more meditative, kind of like, you know, listening to, you know, Explosion in the Sky or whatever, and just be like, I'm just gonna hyper fixate on like angles and lines and all this stuff. So
Yeah.
I don't know. My flow is, I'm trying to evolve it. I would like to be a professional artist. Like I would like to approach it with the same mannerism that I do work, where I have like, okay, here's my to-do list. Here's how I want to accomplish it. These are the ideas. I have bandwidth for this right now. I don't really have bandwidth for this. Like just kind of piece it all together with a general goal in mind. But I also get distracted and I like, you know, go down a rabbit hole, and then I get stuck over here doing like,
it's too entertaining.
Yeah, literally. And I found that like having a space to do all that is like the best thing in the world. And it's also kind of like a little bit of a, just, it's like a booby trap of like, I have all my favorite things around me, and I can just like go over to my bookshelf, and then I'll be deep into a book and not be painting. And then I'll feel like I should be painting, but the book is eventually going to be what I paint somehow. You know what I mean? Like it's going to be, it's something that I digest and then influences. So, yeah, I'm trying to just hold it all loosely and know that there's no fixed ending. It's kind of just like allow kind of just a disciplined, way of showing up, of just like, I'm going to be here and I'm going to focus on this. I'm going to work on this, and I'm going to, take notes of like where I want to go with it. And I have an art journal that I'll just jot down all my ideas, and whiteboard, and you know, I love artist studios of just like, you step into someone else's space and you're like, I'm stepping into your brain for a second. And it's like, as you were showing me around, you're like, this is this area. And I'm just like, this is so cool to get like, I mean, we just saw Wicked, and it's like behind the curtain, like what is behind all of this? And it's like, it's our brains, it's our experience and our soul and our heart and our feelings. So like, it's cool to share it, and it's cool to like be willing to share and be open to receiving it. And it's just, I think that's been a big motivator recently.
That's awesome. You
Yeah.
have a lot of areas that you can explore: the physical realm, the
Yeah.
painting realm, mental realm, auditory realm.
All of it. And I get really distracted with all of it because I just love so many things that like I will get really kind of caught up in BMX for a while. And that's great. I love that. And then also I will get really caught up in the more process driven side of art, which is like, I need people. I would like people to see my art. And so you have to learn how to market it and how to connect with people and like all these aspects of art that are beyond the studio walls. And so there's a lot of, there's so many things to kind of like really fill your time with. So again, I'm just trying to like not be overwhelmed with it and just enjoy the process of like, this is, I love all of it. I just want to love all of it and love what's in front of me. And I try to like live by kind of a little mantra of just like, what does right now need? Like, what does just right now need? And it's like, sometimes it's color, sometimes it's, you know, updating the website. Sometimes it's just relaxing and listening to a record, you know? So, yeah.
Nice. So going back to BMX here, do you have like a dream trick you want to land?
There's a few of them. There's a few like tricks like after all these years that I'm like, that would be really cool. Like I haven't seen someone do it or haven't seen someone do it in a way that I would like to do it or something like that. So there's all of that side of things. But I think more than tricks now, there's just places. There's places that I want to go and ride because each place has its own energy and it's like its culture and it's kind of like just it feeds into what you want to do in those places. And so, I mean, I think that places stand out a little bit more than tricks these days for me. But I mean, there's still things that I like want to do. And I always have like a list of stuff that I want to do. Sometimes they're not the hardest things, but they're just like things that I think are satisfying.
Can you give an example? I'm not super well versed in.
Let's see. Like there's a trick in which when you stall on your front peg, it's called a toothpick. And there's a way that you can kind of kick the bike around if you're on your front tire. It's called a foot jam and a foot jam tail whip. So you can spin it around. And I've always had a dream of doing like a toothpick foot jam tail whip on a spine, which allows the bike to spin around, but you kind of hop over the spine first. And it's just this weird kind of like, it's this weird mechanic thing that I know will work out. I just kind of have to do it and like push myself to do it. And I've had it in my mind for probably like 10 years now. And I'm just kind of like a little nervous to open the can of worms of like trying it because I know it's just going to take me forever, but I know it's possible.
So that's like ramming on the front brakes, then going up like this, then going like around.
Yeah, spinning around and like going back in. But it's just one of those tricks that is so mental. And then there's the physical side of it that I'm just like, I'm not there yet. Like I know I physically will just wreck so much. And right now I'm trying to recover and like stay healthy at the moment. So there'll be a time when summer comes around and, you know, body's warmed up a bit more and I kind of like work up to it. But yeah.
Wow. What about parks? Is there like a dream park you would like to skate or ride?
Let's see. I mean, there's a first thing that comes to mind is like, I haven't been to the Pacific Northwest to ride, and Oregon and British Columbia and everything has like amazing concrete skate parks. And that's like a bucket list dream to just get to go on a road trip up that coast and get to all these places because the type of concrete they use is kind of a certain style. The type of people that build up there is a certain style. So it's very area and geographically specific. So yeah, I think that area would be so fun to go to.
What about around here? Where do you like to ride?
These days, I pretty much stay in East Nashville for the most part. Like I used to live in West Nashville, and so I'll still go over there from time to time and just like ride around. But I go up to the Two Rivers skate park here and there. I'm going to build some ramps in my studio soon, so that will be fun to do, to like just have some small things to just, again, probably distract me, but also at the same time,
work on your skills,
work on my skills, and like have a place that is accessible. Like that's the hardest thing right now, is just time. Time is like, it's so, at least with like my current, how life has been, it was so like just quick and like quick little blocks of time that accessibility became a big thing for me. So just having ramps that are accessible that I can go to kind of quickly is nice, just to get 30 minutes to ride. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, we got to bring up the Porter Trails.
Porter Trails, yeah. Trails that were here in East Nashville almost a year ago.
Yeah.
They were plowed, but they were
amazing.
Kind of a staple of the community. Yeah, truly, like, I hope that everyone gets to kind of look at dirt jumps and trails, and like, especially in the woods, in an artistic way, because what's weird about it is it's this whole subculture of BMX that I've always enjoyed and always been a part of. But it's like, when you bring people into that space that haven't seen it before, it's like, these are 10, 12, 14 foot tall mounds of dirt that are sculpted. Like, this is art. And then you see people ride it and you're like, that is art. And then you see someone take a photo of it and you're like, that's art. And it's just this ecosystem of art and creativity and like vision of like how you're going to go down this hill or through this area and stuff like that. And my friend Eric Doty, he created a small documentary about the Porter Trails. It's called Dirt Boof.
Dirt Booth?
Boof. Yeah, BOOF. That everyone could watch. It's awesome.
Is it on YouTube?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So it kind of gives like I think it's like 40 minutes or so, but it gives you a glimpse into our world through his eyes. And like, we're out there digging, some more than others. It's so funny. We call people, like, if you don't dig a lot but you go and ride, you're a dry guy. Like, you only ride when it's dry out there, but when it's wet, that's when you dig, and that's when you stack all the dirt. And so during like, when the time is right, like, you dig, and then you dig a lot to make it all happen. And sometimes you're digging at night, and there was times that we'd be out there at night digging and headlamps on and everything like that. And then you do all of that work so that when the season is right to ride, then that's what you do. So yeah, it's a really special type of place, being in the woods.
Yeah.
Like, in nature with your friends, hanging out and like riding bikes.
Dude, yeah, and I loved it because all the foliage, you would never know it existed.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, didn't go looking.
Yeah.
It was so contained. It was its own little world.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I loved staying there.
Yeah.
I would run the trails or like look at them and like, wow, this is probably how they went. And like, like try to like map out how they maneuver all of this.
Yeah. It's fascinating. And I remember being a kid, and we would go, my parents would like, I would go to school when I was still going to that private school. And then right after school, they would drive me to the other side of town to the indoor skate park. And there used to be a set of dirt jumps on the river in Endwell, New York. And during the summer, you had no idea they were there. But then fall would come and all the leaves would drop, and then you'd see all these mounds of dirt just like silhouetted on the river. And I was like, what is that? And it was like it's just a magical place of like someone spent their time doing that, and now they're enjoying it and they're filming movies on it or videos or shooting photos. And it's like, it's special. And you don't really see too many other types of art forms like that in just life in general.
Yeah, it was a very special place because, yeah, you can tell everyone's really spent a lot of time digging. And when you touch those ramps, how packed the dirt was.
It's like concrete.
I was like,
yeah.
geez, how do you...
It's like, yeah, it can be like a clay mixture. Like we were lucky enough to have a good type of dirt. And yeah, it's rock hard. Like it's crazy, but that takes a lot of time and effort and skill, like truly like landscaping and like irrigation, and you have to have water flow and like those, like my friends and my trail builder friends are like some of the most dedicated people I've ever met, because we don't have like a water source here. Like some people have access to like water, but they would like go down to Shelby Park and get it out of the river and like buckets and buckets of water just to fill up like the reservoir that we had.
Remember that rain jug?
Yeah, the rain jug and everything like that. Or like there was one time they filled up the back of a truck and like with a tarp and like drove that over. And it's just like all these things you don't see.
The tender love and care.
Yeah, but you truly have to just like love it and just like eat, sleep, breathe it. Like it kind of is all consuming to just create this place that takes so much energy to maintain and like but then at the end of it, it's like to share with friends and to like
and to look at it
and like, I mean, there are so many great sets of trails like all over the world, but especially on the East Coast. And kind of yeah, I think that this was something special because it was so right here.
Yeah,
like it was in the middle of East Nashville, and the people that lived here, we always knew like they knew it was all here. But like I have friends that don't ride bikes, and we'd be going over to, I mean, I had one of my best friends lived above 210 Jack, and I was like, yeah, I spend most of my time like right down there. And he's like, what? Like I have no idea. And it's kind of hidden in plain sight type of thing. But most of the time that doesn't happen in a city like Nashville. In Austin, there's a spot called 9th Street Trails, and that was something that kind of people started building dirt jumps in the middle of the city, and then it was protected by the city, so it's like they allow it and that's maintained. But a lot of other places you don't get that opportunity to have it like right here. It's usually off on either someone's private property or off on a remote part of land like outside the city. But yeah,
like, and what I was crazy is when they flattened it all, how quickly the jungle takes it back over.
It takes it right back. Like, and it was crazy. Like that day that we got the text, like my group chat started blowing up, and it's like there was the notice that the white papers on the trees, and it's like all of a sudden it's just like, oh, it's happening. And then the one photo came through of it just like gone, and it was just like that was well over 10 years of work, like incrementally in different stages.
2007 apparently.
Yeah, it was so many years just like gone. And it's weird because it's happened a lot in life. Like with me, with indoor skate parks up in the Northeast, they would close all the time. And so you kind of got used to loss in that way, like places that you would gather that were all of a sudden gone.
Yeah.
But dirt jumps are different because like you literally built that place with your hands, and it's very unique to whoever builds it. Like whoever builds it a certain way. And some people like longer, mellower jumps, and other people like steeper, shorter jumps. And so you're getting to ride like the creation of someone else, and that's can't be replicated,
Right.
just because of the place it is. So yeah, to see it all gone is just a reminder that everything's temporary, and
Right.
and that's part of it to embrace in a weird kind of you know, sorrowful way of just like, but it also, on the flip side, I do think the one thing that it really, really like hammers home is just like, be present in it. Like when you're in it, like try to be in it, because it's not going to be there forever. And with BMX and like, I mean, certain spots or skate parks, or I don't know, we just get so used to everything being there. And I think it's a very helpful thing to just treat everything pretty temporary, and try to engage with it in the most honest way you can. And just when you're there, you're there. And
yeah, I mean, y'all were like mud masons.
yeah.
And working with the weather and knowing like, well, it's going to rain. All right, get the tarps out.
Literally, it was a group text, and it was just like, anyone see the radar? Cool. Who's close by? I can tarp. Okay, cool. And like, it was awesome. It's like a completely like hidden kind of just like society of artists that are just out there building and drinking beer and just like just enjoying things, and then ultimately like creating more art and shooting photos and sharing those photos. And then Eric also made like a small film after they got plowed and what that's like. And and it's that's
on the same area,
same area and everything. And it's just it's a lot to digest, and like there's so much grief in it all. And our friends group kind of shifted because we didn't have that spot to go to anymore. But at the same time, it was like, man, we had the best times there.
Man, like every time I'd go back there, you could just tell how fun, you could tell the little kid in them is coming out whenever they're riding.
That's like the thing.
I didn't see like they transcended age to me at a certain point. I never saw them as like, oh, these are like guys in their mid to late 30s,
right?
Like adults building these things. Like
it's weird too, because I mean, I talk about it with my therapist all the time, but it's like my inner child, and you're always kind of like I mean, she asked me like, what does 8-year-old Joel like feel or think? And like pretty much the same things a lot of times, because I have that through line throughout my entire life of like this mechanic art form of bicycles like is embedded into my body, into my muscle, into my movement. And that does keep your life and your like experience youthful. Right. So you are kids, and like, I don't know, that's the whole point of it to me. It's just like keep that childlike wonder, keep that curiosity. Like there's so much sadness in the world that can just stomp it out, and like just hold on to those things that like allow you to play and be curious. And like, I don't know. Yeah. It's something that has kind of hit home a little bit more of like, that's what I want to focus more on in life, is like helping people find those places, like finding places like the trails or an art studio or a skate park or music that allows them to kind of explore who they are. And yeah,
man, that's awesome. I'm glad we got to talk about the trails. For anyone that didn't get to experience that was a great era.
Yeah, it really was. And what's fun too is like we'd all be up in the parking lot, and it's like, all right, we're gonna go down there and like disappear into the woods, and we're gonna come out and we're gonna go get margaritas somewhere. Right. Like it's just it was something. Man, it was a good time.
What was I never been there when it was like in full force.
Mm-hmm.
How big is the BMX community in Nashville, and how many people? What's the most people you've seen there like jumping?
Yeah,
at the same time.
Let's see, probably so over the last couple of years that it was there, we would have like a trail jam that we called it, in the fall, usually in October. And we'd invite friends and everyone, because it was like, as much as it was like public, it was kind of private to the like us that were kind of facilitating it. Kind of like, it's a place that took a lot of work, so there was an etiquette to it, and it was like everyone was welcome, but you like participate, pick up a shovel, dig, help take care of the place. Like, a lot goes into it, so it's kind of like a, give respect, you get respect type of thing. But we would have friends come in from out of town, from Knoxville, from North Carolina, and so like the last couple trail jams would be like 20 to 30 people like hanging out, probably 15 to or so like riding. And we would, when you ride through all like after one another, it's called a train.
Yeah.
And it's just like, there's some awesome footage of that. And especially from down there where there was like, I don't know, 8 to 10 of us all riding down it. And it's just like, it's kinetic art. Like,
right.
It's like this thing that if you were to put it into a museum or the Frist or anything, you'd be like, that's wild. But it's been weirdly like not included in that realm of art in a weird way.
Yeah, it's physical body art.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I saw, last time I was there and saw people jumping it, like, they would start off on the hill and then go down the hill. And then,
a berm, and then you got a bunch of little, like, we call them squirrel traps, which are like the harder things to get through. And that really separates, like, if you're ready for the next jumps.
Oh.
And so it's kind of like a safety mechanism too, is to be like, you kind of do have to be more advanced to go through it. There was smaller stuff for everyone. There was like little rollers and things like that, but it is all very intentional.
Yeah, the wall ride down, like, man. And I remember, if you go like all the way back to like where the tunnel is, where they had it to where like starts up here and then goes around that tree where those chairs were.
Yep.
Or that they're still there.
Yeah. Yeah, that was fun.
Was that like at one point the beginning?
Yeah, it was the beginning, and then it was kind of like we all hung out in that area, and then that whole entrance kind of changed and became. It's funny. It's like, again, it's kind of a community project. So whoever was around would build stuff to their skill level, and it was just kind of like, as long as it all kind of works together, and again, people just respect it. It's kind of like, yeah, you go dig. Like, that's encouraged. Like,
that's amazing. So was there like super expert lines, and then there's medium lines?
Yeah.
There was like beginner line?
Yeah, there was like, we didn't have a lot of space, so it was mostly kind of like, I guess what you would call an expert line was like the main one. And then that had kind of 2 different, sections that you could go down through. And then there was kind of a smaller like beginner line that didn't have gaps in between the jumps or anything like that you could roll over if you didn't want to jump them, or you could jump them too. So yeah, it caters to a lot of different skill levels, which is awesome too, because again, I think it's the right thing for anyone. Like, it's
have a diverse. It's like going skiing. There's greens, blacks.
Yeah, and it's such a fun unifying thing too. It's like not even just BMX, but just bicycles in general. Like, the biking community in Nashville is growing even more. It's cool to see that pick up. And BMX doesn't have a very big scene here over the last handful of years, but again, just bikes in general, they're the best. Yeah.
I recently got an e-bike.
Oh, nice.
It has changed my life.
What do you enjoy doing with it?
Going everywhere.
I
go to the gym on it. I'll go to the parks. I'll ride down hills. I'll go off-roading with it. Yeah. Like, I kind of got it sported out so I can go off-roading with it.
That's cool.
I rode it in the snow. It wasn't very good.
No.
I wanted to try it, and it's like one of the cafe style.
Fun.
It looks like a little motorcycle.
Those are so fun. I think it's just like, it gives you such a sense of freedom, and you're just like, yeah, you can kind of make up your own rules too. Man. Like, it's just, I'm going to go that way. I'm going to go this way. It's just,
when I first got it, I ordered it from China. It came here. It took me 3 hours to build, and then immediately I rode it till like 2 or 3 in the morning.
And
I went from here all the way down, all the way to Belmont, and then went down
no way.
Granny White, and went all the way to Belmead. And no one was on the roads, and I was like, I want to ride it where no one's. So I can have more control. Over my riding, and it was like dreamlike.
That's amazing.
And especially in that part of town, it gets very sleepy.
Very sleepy.
So no one's up.
Yeah.
And so I didn't see anyone for a while, and I was like, man, I feel like I'm in a movie.
Yeah, that's the best. That's like, there's something about those late nights on a bike in a city where you're just like, yeah, it is like a movie, because no one is out doing it. Like it is dreamlike. It's not there's a flow to the world, and it feels like you're going against the grain in those moments. And I think that I've always been drawn to like counterculture things in general. Now I think it's cool that more things are I guess less countercultural, like more inclusive, which is amazing. But yeah, there's not other people out there riding bikes through Belmead or Granny White at that time. So it's like, yeah, soak it all in.
Yeah, it was amazing having music going. It was great. So I was going to ask you about like Auburn.
Auburn, yeah, it's a BMX brand that I'm starting. It's been backburned for a long time, trying to figure out what it is and what I want to do with it. But it's basically my next chapter of BMX. For a lot of years, like I rode at professional level. I was on multiple teams, some international teams, did a lot of road trips, met a lot of people in the industry. And when I moved to Nashville, there was a different type of BMX scene here that it was a lot easier to like film stuff and get coverage, and that changed over the last handful of years. And I've really wanted to give back in a different way, and starting a brand like this is that way to kind of take all my skills, all the things that I love, and just kind of give them an outlet. And part of that includes like building ramps, and I build ramps and skate parks and things like that. So I want to include that, and I want to be able to host events and have people kind of come together, because I did that in other places in life. And so I'm really excited about taking something and making it more of a cohesive like brand identity. And it's largely focused around the things that I love in a portion of my art style, which is like grungy kind of textural, kind of like band artwork. I'm going to pull a lot from like the bands that I listen to into the art direction of it all, and musically, and just kind of create like the type of BMX that I want to see, or that I was influenced by as a kid. So it's interesting. BMX is so small and it's fairly new that there's people that are going to be like leaving BMX, in the next handful of years, and in the sense of like passing on the torch to the younger generation of things. And I started thinking a lot about that, and of just like, I want to like create the excitement and like the kind of the compelling like art and imagery in BMX that I had when I was a kid. And I see it out there in a lot of different ways, but I don't see the way that I would like to share it. So I started talking with some friends, and it's all gonna be kind of like the parts of BMX that we love the most, which are like making zines or like print material or photographs, and really kind of just all the things we're already doing is just going to be a little more centralized. So
so it's going to be you won't be creating the bikes, you'll be creating the environment and the culture.
But at the same time, like one of my good friends, John, has been building my bikes since I was 16, and he does more of, he has his own bike company, but he builds bikes for other people. And so he does limited runs of them. So there's kind of an interesting portion of the market where you can pre-order bikes now, and you can make only 10 frames and sell them. So there's definitely avenues like that, like if the time were to come. And it's been in the back of my head of like, yeah, maybe in 2 years, like we could design a frame, and I know who could build it, and I know that the art direction of everything would be really fun, and like already kind of started to pick out the color of it, the graphic kind of layout of things. So, but that's something that's just like, I want it to be organic. There's so many logistics with bikes and the industry in general that I've been trying to do my homework of like what will work, and not be burnt out or lose a lot of money in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's so many new ways to do it now. So I'm excited to kind of keep it all there. And it's called Auburn because I grew up in West Auburn, and I was trying to think of like something that would tie it all together. I'm like, just the hometown, like where I grew up doing it. I want it to be very simple. I want it to be very like rooted in how I grew up. And so it's going to pull in all the influences that I've had in my life. It's going to be music. It's going to be the area I grew up in, architecture, the things, shapes and things I love. And yeah, I think it's been a really fun project to kind of keep similar thinking through. So
Nice.
yeah.
And then your art page, Losing the Light.
Losing the Light. Losing the Light is like an art journal at this point. I haven't used it very much recently, but it's kind of it's the way that I want to kind of just move art as therapy, kind of in that expression, I guess, where doing a little bit more like reflecting on what the pieces are, or kind of trying different things out, and not having them kind of like just drift into the ether. Like a lot of times, like in working up to do a big piece or something like that, you build a lot of little small things, collect a lot of small things along the way. And so I just want to have something that's more blog like, or like my journal is, where it's just like, I just want to dump a bunch of textures and like get into more explorative art that doesn't necessarily fit like just a painting. I want to kind of work more towards visuals and installation art and stuff like that. So that's kind of like my little hub of being able to centralize my art for people that are interested in that side of it. Again, I feel like I have so many different areas of life, and a lot of times people will know me for one thing and have no idea I do something else, but it's equally as big in my life. So I try to not have it fragmented too much, but have enough like directness.
Yeah. I see.
Yeah. Like if you're interested in the art that I do, I want to be able to say, hey, you can check out this area or something. But I'm also learning not to spread myself too thin. So it's hard. It's really a challenge, because even with the bike brand with Auburn, it's like, well, that influences my art. And then where does it belong? If I'm going to categorize some stuff, does this go towards like a painting I want to do, or is it Auburn, or is it both? Is it like, so I'm just, again, trying to hold it loosely and just find something that's a little bit more consistent in what works for me right now.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then Fever Dream,
again, another thing. So I got my art studio back in May, and it's attached to Aberdeen, the wood shop that I run operations at. And I negotiated that as part of my promotion. And so I have an 800 square foot studio gallery space in the front of that building, right in the middle of East Nashville. And it was a dream space. And I didn't think I was going to get it. It was kind of a long shot. I talked to my boss. He was going to rent it out to other people. And I was like, what if you didn't? What if like I would be really interested in this? And first he said no. I was like, okay, cool. And at the time I had applied to 100 Taylor over in Germantown and was accepted into a space over there. So are you familiar with that space? It's a great artist space over there. Man, there's so many. Friend Caleb is over there. He does lighting and 3D printing and a lot of great visual work. Zane, friend, not Safe House, Sunrise Tattoo. He's over there. There's just a lot of great community over there. But I was going to rent out a space over there and finally have an art studio again. I had just been working out of my house for a long time. And then my boss was like, do you still want this space? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. So I moved into it. Didn't know I was going to have that space. And Fever Dream is just like, it's all temporary. I'm just going to be as present as I can in it, but I don't know when it's going to end type of thing. Like the space is more of like, I know how long I have it, but I don't know what it's going to be. And so I wanted to create something that was kind of different every time you step into it. So I've been hosting little pop-ups here and there and trying to get my bearings with like adding that whole thing into my life this year. It was kind of hectic to just drop in a whole space and a whole new idea into the mix. But I'm going to be doing an opening, like an official opening on February 15th, and going to start offering it for like, it's got a lot of great natural light. So going to like open it up to like private photography rentals, and my girlfriend's going to start doing pop-up yoga classes and just like
in the 800 foot space.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so it fits about 12 like yoga mats and people. So it's cozy, but it's just something, a way that we can like connect with more people and share the space. And as much as of it is like my studio space, it's very much like, I believe that we all make the spaces together. Right. And honestly, like I want a different type of art to exist. I want the art to be like meeting people and sharing, like, I don't know, sharing a community space together that is, I'm hosting or I'm facilitating the space existing, but it's like all of ours. Like, right. If you want to use it, like, cool. Like, I want you to use it. Like, that's how we're going to make the best art, is to just like encourage each other to make more art. And like, I'm gotten to the place where now it's stabilized to a point where I can like actually start like having the time and the bandwidth to kind of invite people into it in a different way. But yeah, like I had some friends that lost their practice space last minute before a European tour. So that I was like, he was like, hey, do you think we could practice in there? I was like, absolutely. So for 2 days they set up and they like were able to practice in there. And so I got to see what a band looked like in there. I was like, this would be really cool. You could do drum clinics in here. You could do like all these little things in this small space. And I was like, that's what I want to do. So I've always had kind of like a background goal of like having not necessarily an art gallery, but like an artistic space. And so this is kind of just like the hub of it all in this season. So,
nice.
Yeah.
Cool. So how would you best describe the type of artist you are?
Type of artist. That's an interesting question. Like, I don't know, because like I want to quantify it so much by like what I do, like the type of physical way I represent art or whatever. But I think what it comes down to is I love texture. I think I'm a textural artist. Like, I love layers. So I think that if you're to break it down, I feel like there's a lot of layers in my life. I've experienced a lot of different types of things and a lot of different types of thoughts or beliefs, and I've changed those beliefs over all my years. And so I think that there's so much in the unsaid as much as there is in the said. So I layer a lot of my paintings with like new ones, and I think that that's kind of how I think that like life is. Like stuff is going to overlap, and so I'll paint over old paintings and just create new ones, but you still see pieces of the old ones poke through, and no one will ever know that. No one will ever know that that piece that's poking through that's green was 8 years ago, before I dumped a whole bunch of paint on it after a show. And I think that those are the parts of life that I think are really fun, is just like the layering and the kind of the unseen things. And then you start talking about it, and it's like, oh, there's stories behind all of this. And so I think that, I mean, yeah, as far as like the type of art, I want to encourage people to like ask questions and like curiosity, and evoke that childlike wonder of just like,
Ask why not.
ask why not. Like what, like, yeah, that's a huge one. Is my parents always like they seem pretty frustrated that I always asked why, but now I'm like, why would you not ask why?
Right.
Like that feels like the whole thing is to ask why. And like, yeah, sure, like understand, you know how you're asking why, and like, you know, if you have a defiance or if you have kind of a curious side of things, but like, yeah, ask why not.
Or so, yeah, someone's like, why are you going to do this? Why are you going to do that? Why would I not do that?
Why would I not do that? I go back and forth, and just like, why would I do this? I'm like, why would I not do this? Like, nothing's written.
It's like, are you a why guy or a why not guy?
Yeah. Yeah. I more and more, I just want to like, I get so overly analytical about things, and I just get caught up in overthinking, and I really love simple things, but I overcomplicate stuff all the time. And so part of the art that I'm trying to bring out is like things that do a little bit of both. Mm-hmm. That if you're looking for deeper meaning, like you can look into it more, but if you just want to enjoy the colors of it, like you'll enjoy the colors of it. So it's not, yeah, it's interesting. It's fun to kind of note, like think about all the different chapters of art and what they kind of were and currently. And yeah, I'm still figuring out what kind of artist I want to be, because so much of it just like, it all merges together, and sometimes it feels like a car wreck. I'm just like, not conflicted, but just like influenced by so many different types of things. I'm like, what is this? Like,
right.
So many artists I look at like have such a definitive style that that catalyzed at some point. That's just like, they're this, and that's, I wish, like in a part of me, I wish.
I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean.
But I'm trusting more so that I'm just trying to be me. Like, I'm trying to be vulnerable and just like, yeah, I just want to make whatever I feel like making, and like whatever category that fits in, like, cool. But, you know.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I wish, like, I feel a little same way, kind of spread thin, do a lot of different things.
Yeah.
But you're also like, I wish I was defined by one of them, but then it's like all, like some people, how they're just like all on one, but then it's like all of these things define me.
Yeah.
Like it's not, absolutely. I'm not just one of them, like, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a hard thing, because when I feel like lost in myself, right? Like when I feel very unanchored to like who I feel as a person, whether I'm going through self-esteem stuff or like overthinking or anxiety or whatever it is, I just really, really want to be defined, and like really want to have just like that crystallizing of like, you're this. And so sometimes I look for that in art, where I'm just like, I wish I was just like simpler. Like I wish it was just like, you're just a painter, just be a painter, just like, just be a painter. I'm like, but I ride bikes and I play drums and I'm not like, yes, I paint, but I want to do sculptures and I want to do all this. And like, I'm just jumping all over. And what I had to do this year was like take it from a more like a little bit more structured approach of being like, okay, I will burn out if I try to do all of this at once. Because on top of that, it's like friendships and family and like relationships and all these things that career and all these other things that like are part of that as well. Not just, the specific artistic side of things. So I really had to start looking at like what things overlapped more and start being like, oh, there's more. I don't have to separate them so much, or maybe I'm just the one thing that this all is, and that's okay, and I can learn how to be that.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I know exactly how you feel, where you're like, I wish I was just a painter, or like if I was just a painter. But then you're like, but I also do, like, I wouldn't be okay with just doing this. That's
Absolutely.
how I am. I'm like, sometimes I wish I just played drums and that was just all I did. But I'm like, I'm not, like, I do other things too.
Yeah. Well, and also it's like the question of what type of artist are you? It's like, okay, well, when I paint or when I do things of that nature, I'm this type. And then if I'm in the wood shop, like over the last couple of years, I started turning bowls and stuff like that, and like trying to do something that was a little more organic or a little bit more just kind of less. It was more like of a feel rather than an actual set of like instructions or drawings to make something. It was more of just what you wanted to make. And so that side of things I feel a little bit more organic. And then as a BMXer, I'm a certain type of artist that has had an eye for spots and composition and what will look good and all these things. And so it's like
body art, moving your body.
Yeah. Well, that's like how it looks.
How do you warm your body up to then to move
all of it? And so it's like, I don't know what type of artist. I just want to be whatever artist I am. I just want it to be me. Like, I just want to be really, really comfortable being me and accepting that won't be for everyone. And that's okay.
Gives you taste.
It does give you taste. And
everyone likes you, then.
Yeah. But that's a weird thing. That's the people pleasing side of things that just like
I totally
get wrapped up in. But
okay, cool. Do you have a favorite time of day you like to create?
If I can make it happen, like the morning is the best. Like, but man, I get lost in some late nights as well. It's harder to do these days because I have more of a structured life currently. But I remember just being in my bedroom till like 3 a.m., just like listening to music and just like painting spread out everywhere. And those moments were really, really fun too. So I think now, like, man, like getting up, seeing a sunrise before the city wakes up, like having some coffee and just being able to get into the studio and like that deep breath of like, this is a blank slate. Like the whole day feels new. There's nothing clouding it. Like there's not all these other things. It's just like you wake up and you can just go kind of continue the dream, if that makes sense. Like the dream state of like being asleep and then like being kind of free. Yeah, you're free to move around. It's like follow that as long as you can. And I think that like that is what a lot of life is just trying to like let go of those like kind of the rigid boundaries that we kind of give ourselves sometimes, and again just kind of get back to play.
Live it more abstractly.
Yeah, I mean that to me is like, it's hard, and it's definitely a discipline that I'm trying to work on. Of like, right now my hours are like, get off of work at 4 o'clock. I'll usually do something that's more of a palate cleanse, whether it's like walk the dog or something like that, and then I'll go back to the studio maybe like 6:30 or something, and that's hard, but there's so much life that has happened throughout the day that you're bringing all of that into it, and you have to kind of like shake it off and like just kind of like reset and try to get out of your head of whatever may be going through it. But in the morning, it's like, it's fresh. It's like, let's
uninterrupted by the day.
Yeah.
Like what's to come. What about bike riding? Do you have a certain time of day? I mean, I guess
morning too. Like weirdly, like I mean, one of my favorite things to do is Sunday mornings in Nashville are so quiet, and we have a joke at our house. It's called Atheist Hour. When everyone's at church in Nashville, is like all the atheists are out doing stuff, and the city is just so quiet because Nashville's still a small city in that sense, and I'll just go ride my bike around the city, and it's like, it's one of the best things ever because the city is pretty easy to access. And like, if I moved to Nashville 13 years ago when the traffic wasn't like it is now, and I know even before it was so different, but it kind of reverts me back to that time when there's like not a lot of traffic. It feels like I just moved here. It's kind of that small city again. So
nostalgic.
Yeah, it really, like, Sunday mornings have been really fun to go riding. Yeah.
Man, that's great. So back to what would you say your strengths and weaknesses as an artist are?
I think strengths, what I'm learning is just trying to be authentic, vulnerable, like letting the ego die type of thing, just being like a little bit more like just open to it, and just like not trying to go after a certain agenda, maybe, I suppose. I think that is, I'm open to trying new things and like exploring stuff. So I think that's a big strength, is that I'll explore a lot of different things. I think that's also a double-edged sword. I think I get very spread out, and I get easily burnt out and kind of frayed ends type of things. Like I get scattered, and then I get like kind of manically fixated on certain things, and then I just have to kind of like close it down for a minute and just be like, just like, you're trying to do too much at once. You're trying to like, you just gotta balance it out again. And so it's good, but it's like, yeah, that side of the artist, again, going back to like the art of execution, I'll leave so many things unfinished and move on to the next thing, because I'll be working on a set of paintings or a series or something, and then I'll have an idea for something else, and it's like, I gotta get that idea out, I gotta test it, and I gotta start playing with it, but it doesn't work on these pieces, and then all of a sudden I have 30 pieces that are like 80% done. And so I'm definitely trying to like, yeah, that would be the thing that I'm not great at right now, is just like closing it out, like, but it feels good when you do. And so definitely. I'm trying to ride that feeling.
Right. Let the pool of winning be greater than the pool of losing.
That's a great way to look at it. Yeah.
The excitement of winning, whereas the fear of losing.
Yeah. And I think that is part of it. The more I hold on to things and I don't finish them, I recognize that that's like, there's an insecurity in that for sure. I mean, there's so much great art out there. It's overwhelming. Like, you get on Instagram for 2 seconds and you're like, well, everyone's better than I am at all of this. And so it takes a lot to kind of quiet the noise of it all and just be like, yeah, there are a lot of really good people at everything. Like, that doesn't exclude me from like participating and wanting to enjoy it. And I don't even, why am I comparing them? Like, why am I comparing the two things that shouldn't be ever compared?
Right.
So,
and no one can ever replicate you. So
no, but a lot of times you interpret yourself as a style or an anticipation of, like, there's artists that I follow that have a different life and they have a different capacity or an amount of time that they can give to their craft. And it shows. It shows that they are able to spend their time focused on their work for 40, 60, however many hours a week. My time frame is smaller. And that's just not that I'm not creating in other ways, but my focus time is smaller. So I think that that's all part of it, as well as just recognizing that we're all at different places, and that's okay. So
everyone's on their own timeline.
Everyone, yep. And that's a hard one for me, because I always will. I've done a lot of things in life as far as like, I guess what you would call like accomplishments in BMX or things. So I've done things, so I know what my capacity is. I know what I'm capable of. And so I look for that in everything. And usually that just becomes like a recipe for perfectionism and like setting stuff way, way too high of standards, when it just like, I mean, perfect is the enemy of good. So I think I'm just trying to keep that in stride these days. And yeah.
Right. Not be too hard on yourself.
Yeah, I'm pretty hard on myself.
But also just like letting yourself enjoy something, but then like, not overthinking like this has to be like, it's like the best thing ever.
Like where does this fit into, like, because I'm thinking of everything. I'm thinking of like, when I'm doing this, I'm like, okay, how would I show this? How am I going to price this? What do I like? Way further down the line than just the moment of just like, just do this. Just what is this right now? What is this?
Let the action be the reason, not necessarily the result.
Interesting. Action be the reason. Yeah.
Like, because I mean, it's like in music. It's not to get to the end of the piece of the music that we're
right. You're not racing through the whole thing,
or else then it would be like whoever plays the fastest would be the most. It's like.
That makes...
And it's also when you're dancing, you're not like, I'm trying to get over to that spot on the floor.
No.
You're trying to just move to dance.
Yeah, that's been a hard thing when, like I said, the different parts of my life, sometimes they accelerate at different speeds. Yeah. So I feel like other areas are like lacking.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
And that's hard to process sometimes. Like sometimes I spend so much time riding my bike and then I feel like this other area is lacking. And then just now I spent almost 2 months off my bike, and I was like, got to the point where and it was just like, life just happens. Like we went out of the country, we had the holidays, we had like all these things happen. I just didn't ride, and then I felt like I was lacking in that. And so it's just like, it ebbs and flows. You just got to kind of, I at least have to just recognize what I'm wanting and trying to do, and just like do the best to just allow it. Just let it unfold. Don't give it a script. Just let it go.
Surrender to it.
Surrender. A lot of surrendering.
Right.
Yeah.
We want to hold too tightly, like we're here.
One of the best images that I've heard over the last handful of years was like, it may have been like an Alan Watts thing or something, but it's just like, if you want water and like, you don't grab water, like when you grab water, like the faster you grab it, the faster it leaves you. And you have to just like hold your hands, and that's how you get water. And it's just like, it blew my mind of just like how often I grasp at things, and I grasp, and I just want to do so much. And then all of a sudden you're just like, and it's just like it's a total posturing of just like receiving, especially, I mean, you want to go into the depths of artistry of just being a funnel and absorbing life and pulling all these influences. Like you're just trying to receive the signal, whatever that signal is for you, the artistic connection to life and creativity and makership and stuff like that.
You want to be beyond good and bad.
Yeah.
You want to be.
Yeah. You're just kind of like, you're just a vessel for the things. And like, think of that level of like, you can't just output yourself all the time. Like you have to input, you have to fill back up, and then you have to give. And then, so yeah, it's trying not to just like grasp at things.
I like your quote: "A cup cannot hold," or
A glass can only spill what it contains. That's a Me Without You line, and Aaron Weiss is one of the best lyricists I've ever come across. But it's such a simple way of being like, whatever the world is around you is what you are inside of you. And if you're feeling a lot of like tension and stuff, like that's coming from inside of you. Yes, there's a lot of outside things, but like what you are bringing to your life is what's inside of you.
Yeah, what you think of that stuff.
And so it's you. And I think that kind of is the direction I've been heading in my art. Like it's all a mirror. Like it's all looking back at you. It's like, I'm not even going to try to get to the quote, but it's basically what, I forget who it is right off the top of my head, but it's like, what you are looking for is looking for you type of thing. It's just like that's the nature. That's the reciprocity. I butchered that one.
Reciprocity.
I totally, that one just, you know,
reciprocity.
Reciprocity.
That's what it is.
Reciprocity of it all is just like, it's a fluid movement. So
yeah. Right.
Yeah. I don't know. So
that's some good stuff. So you've been here 13 years, you said?
13.
2012?
Yeah. Yep. 2012.
What initially brought you here?
BMX. I mean, sort of. I was living in Syracuse, New York at the time, and I have family in Dallas. And every time we would go visit them growing up on spring break, we would stop in Nashville. I'd ride 6th Avenue back years and years ago, back when I was like 14, 15. And Nashville always just, I knew it as a place that we stopped at. And then over the years, like I knew it as a place that had a lot of music, and all the bands that I would see on the, you know, the tour flyers were like, they'd stop in Nashville. So I just knew it was a place that had the things I liked. And I went on a road trip to Texas a few years prior to that. Yeah, it's like 2010 or 2011. And we came back through Nashville and we stayed here with a friend, and it kind of solidified. I was like, yeah, Nashville's cool. And a little bit bigger than where I was at in Syracuse, because Nashville wasn't super big at that time. It was still kind of a small city. And a bunch of friends were just friends that I had met were moving down here. And I was just like, it seems like everyone's going to Nashville for some reason. And for me, it was just like, it had music, it had BMX, and then it had opportunities for that here. And so that was definitely a big move. It was just opportunity. It was kind of like, felt like I kind of hit a ceiling in Syracuse in some ways. And so Nashville just felt like the right move. And I literally, the story of how I got to Nashville is crazy, but I literally just packed up my minivan and came down here. Didn't have a job lined up, didn't have anything. I had a friend reach out to me like weeks before I was planning on moving. I was like going to couch surf with some friends and stuff. And he was like, hey, are you still moving here? And I was like, yeah. He's like, I got an extra room. It's $150 a month. And I was like, yep, done. And then I lived in that house for 6 years, and like, it became a big piece of my story here. He moved out like a month later, but he got me in that house, and it was crazy, like how everything lined up. But yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was definitely like
$150 a month.
$150 a month. It's crazy.
Killer, dude.
It was crazy. And
killer.
And it was right down off of Nolensville, like by the zoo. And it was great to be there, like by Berry Hill and everything like that, and 12 South and stuff like that back in that time. Yeah, it was great.
Right, mafiosos
every Tuesday night.
Peace.
I know.
Yeah, $2 Tuesdays.
$2 Tuesdays.
Man, I was talking about that with Joe Nolan.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you know him.
No.
He was an artist previous on here, but we were talking about mafiosos.
Oh, that's great.
That was a gem of a place.
It was. It was.
It had it had the mob vibe.
Mm-hmm.
They had all like the movie stars for all the mob movies.
It was the best. And I mean, like, to me, I mean, I go on tangent about pizza, but like pizza shops in the Northeast, like that's kind of the vibe you want. It felt very like reminiscent of back home in a lot of ways, but
yeah, it was a great place. So what would you say is something you've learned living here?
Oh, so much. It comes in waves. That's a big one.
What comes in waves?
Life.
Oh, yeah.
Everything. That, like, seasons are just that. They're temporary. Gone through a lot of growing in Nashville. Went through a lot of different belief changes and kind of just life structuring in Nashville. And so there were so many times that I wanted to leave, that I kind of tried to leave. And like the city kind of just kept kind of inviting me back in. And like every time I'd be ready to leave, something else would change. And then a whole new chapter of Nashville would emerge. And so it taught me a lot to like just trust my intuition. Like the intuition that had me move to Nashville is still the same intuition that like I just got to tap into it. I got to attune myself to it. So yeah, it's not going to last forever. It comes in waves. It like there's going to be really good seasons with a lot of like, you know, certain types of life, whether it's certain friend groups or, you know, activities or job or career, whatever it is. Like it's all gonna, at least for me and where I and how I like to experience life, it's going to change a lot. And that's not indicative of it being good or bad. It just is like, and so learning through those hard seasons. And I mean, I love seasons in general, like winter solstice, moving into winter is just like, this is the rest time. Like this is where like you shift your energy, and then you get ready for spring and the blooming of it all. And then summer's the energy, and then it's the slow dying again, and it's of fall and the reflective of death in general. And then you just kind of go back through it. But that's hard to like read into, and when you're going through like a breakup or something like that, when there's just like real life hitting you and you're like,
those are the winter times of life,
right? Absolutely. Times, you know? And I love,
and winter doesn't last forever. Neither
it doesn't.
Does spring.
Exactly. But you forget that when you're in the middle of stuff.
Definitely.
It's definitely hard to hold on to those things when you're in the middle of it. But I think that's been like, Nashville has given me so much. It's taken a lot of things away, but I think that's like how life is. So
sometimes, like, what did they say? Death is the stripping away of what you're not.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, when you die, it's what remains is what you are. It's
basically
the stripping away of everything you're not.
That's great.
Yeah, I forgot who says that, but I was like,
I haven't heard that one. No, that's.
But it's like you die to yourself every day.
Yeah, and I think that's where
surrendering to sleep.
Yeah, truly. I think that there's a lot to be. There's a lot to kind of reflect on with like moving to Nashville and how much it changed my life in so many great ways. But there was times that were hell here. Like it just sucked. It was hard. It was difficult. It was challenging. Like, and then at the same time, it offered so many opportunities if that's what I was looking for. And it was like the hard times led into other opportunities that I had no idea were going to come out of it. So I don't know. Again, I think it's just, Nashville is a very transient city, and I've experienced that a lot, and not just with people moving in and out, but just seasons of life. And I think it's a very special city in a lot of ways. There's a lot of creative energy here, and it just like
the city,
it's buzzing, and it's,
you can feel it.
And it's weird too, because now as there's more people moving here, there's more people that recognize the buzz. That's great. That's awesome. but you also have to kind of like, I've also seen like entire creative communities just overturned by like development, and like all these places that we used to hang out and like share creative visions like get dispersed because no one can afford rent in, you know, in the art district anymore. Like,
Right.
So I don't know, there's a lot to be learned from a city like Nashville, but
We got to keep it alive.
yeah,
The spirit of the city and the heart of the music and the art.
and that's like,
Because it's in the people, and it's our
it's in the
obligation to keep
people.
it alive.
It really is, and that's kind of that's my intention with Fever Dream, is like the same places that I got to go to when I first moved here that like blew my mind of like, what's Fort Houston? Like, oh, it's a motorcycle shop, and then they have a screen printer back here, and then they have a CNC back here, and then there's a furniture place back here. It's like, what is this building that has all these things? That's like the curious person I am and want to be. So it's like, as much as I can facilitate that kind of exposure to people, that's what I want. I want people to be able to step into the studio and be like, hey, also here's like our wood shop back here, and like you can probably meet some other people that also do some cool things, and like get to know your community, like genuinely just get to know the people around you, because I have found that as much as Nashville is like emerging and inclusive, there is a lot of kind of like clickiness in it, and it's hard to sometimes like get into places in general or just meet like-minded people at times. And I felt that over the years. I also have known people that felt that way, and I think that there's a lot to be said about just like inviting people in general to just be like participants in it, and share and kind of look for more opportunities that aren't just profit driven, like as best as you can. But yeah,
I understand. Do you have a favorite venue you like to see shows at?
I mean, it's just because it's the one that I have gone to the most, but the end is like, I mean, there's something about such a small room like that. It's not the best venue in the world by any means, but there is something about it that like there's a venue in Syracuse called the Lost Horizon, and the way it was set up is there was the stage, there was a pit that was like 3 feet lower than the stage, and then there was a railing area just like at the end all the way around the three sides of where that like floor was. So you could be standing there and look eye level with the band, but there was people down below you.
Wow.
And it was a strange kind of layout, but the end feels like that. If you're standing on the side and you're eye level with the band, but there's people down below you. So I have this like sentimental attachment to it's like, it felt like the venue that I went to a lot in Syracuse, where I got to see so many of my favorite bands, you know? So, but in general, I mean, you can't beat the Ryman.
Yeah.
Like, for just experience, like I've been able to see some of my favorite artists there, seen Explosion in the Sky and Cigar Roast there, and like, just, it's magical. That we were talking about it at the last show we went to, just sitting there and being like, how much energy just exists in those seats and in those walls and in that space is just like, it's buzzing. It's buzzing for sure.
Yeah,
so,
it's a great place.
Yeah.
What about food? Do you have a favorite food? A restaurant around here?
Oh man, I mean, we just had Moss Tacos today. I love Moss Tacos. Their avocado taco is great. I mean, man, I'm usually like, I'm so bad at thinking about things other than what I've just been doing recently. Like, I live right around the corner from Frankie's, so when I'm at the studio, like I'll pop over to Frankie's and get a slice of pizza or two, and that's been more of a habit recently. I don't know. I just move through seasons. So right now it's like, yeah, Frankie's is great. I love Frankie's. But then also like, I mean, folk, love folk over
I've never been there.
over by Wilburn Street Tavern. That's a great place. So yeah, all pizza based, I guess,
Yeah.
like for the most part.
What's your favorite pizza? Like what kind of pizza?
I mean, New York style is just like the best. But I mean, I really, it's mushroom based at some point. Like definitely mushroom on the pizza.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I just
I
there's
love
some
Supreme.
Supreme is so good. Yeah, like a mushroom supreme kind of vibe is hard to beat. It's the best.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love Supreme. So New York, what is that? That's the thin sliced, basically.
Yeah, it's basically just like, I mean,
Regular
they're,
pizza.
they're just long slices, but the way they make them is just a little, I don't know, it's just different.
It's like 5 points.
5 points ish, but yeah, a little different. There's something about it that's hard to really describe. And again, I haven't lived in the Northeast in a long time, so I'm sure if I went back now, I would like think about it differently than I did back then, because when I lived there, like in the Northeast region, it was a lot of just volume. Like I wasn't thinking about the pizza I was eating. I was just like, these are the pizza spots that we go to. So I don't know. It's more of just like the vibe of it all. It's just, New York style's best.
Nice.
Yeah.
What about gallery? Do you have a favorite gallery?
I've always loved Red Arrow. Like Red Arrow, I like the open warehouse door vibe to it. It's really simple. It's not overwhelming. Um, it's just a small, simple space that I think it does really well to have people flow in and out of it. And that was actually like something I really love about my space is I have a big glass garage door. So in the springtime and the summertime, I'll be able to open it up and people can like flow in and out of it. So it's the same type of feeling. I like spaces that kind of can flow, where if people need to kind of step out for a second, they can step back in, and like you're not just kind of entrenched into a small kind of tight space. But I mean, there's so many good little ones. Mod Fellows over by Creve Hall was a favorite to go to. Haven't been there in a minute. Really, sometimes I really slack on going to art shows. Like it's just a hard thing to fit in sometimes. There's a lot of life happening all at once. So
I understand.
But
so, what is some advice you'd give to someone who's going to move here and do art?
If you're gonna move here and do art
Or BMXing or
or
anything?
BMXing, I would say just like that's assuming, I guess, that you kind of know what you're looking for. Start with like finding your community, finding your people, finding the places in town that people are gonna like hang out and congregate and like, find that shared interest. Like there's all of these galleries and spaces that I found were because, or like artists that I found through them were the artists that were being shown there. And so I think that was something that I found early on, was just like a community of people through art spaces in general, and kind of getting out there. And I don't know what the best, again, I kind of go off into my own world. I don't know what the best place is to find, what's happening around town these days, but like, yeah, just put yourself out there, like go to openings, talk to people, get to know people. And like, that is the cool thing about Nashville, is there's so many people that you can just run into and that are probably interested in like talking about art or creativity or something like that, making or just experiencing like art in general, like at a show, like at a concert, at a venue. Like, I don't know. I think Nashville can feel kind of overwhelming in the sense of like a lot of,
I got to figure it out right now.
yeah, there's a pace to it.
Everyone's like so professional with their things. So
They
you
are.
get here and you're like, it's
but everyone's the same. Like everyone is figuring out whatever step they're at, and they're intimidated by the person above them. And I listened to a lot of things on repeat, and Paul Klein has a great kind of lecture on YouTube about being a successful artist. But it's just like everyone he's ever talked to is like, everyone is insecure. Everyone is insecure of the next thing. So if the best people are insecure, you're fine. You're among peers. Like, so I think that's where it comes down to. It takes a lot of like self-development to, especially if you have like just a different type of social battery, like putting yourself in social environments is hard in those places. But I do think that you can find your people in those places, and the people that help you find the other places, and like, you know, just kind of opening yourself up to experience. And again, just like Nashville has a lot to offer. It has a lot of people moving really fast, but also like there's great pockets of community here that have been so impactful and life-changing for me. So I know the same exists for other people. So yeah. Not all at the same time though. Like there's things that I wish existed that I heard about before I moved here that don't exist now. I'm like, oh, I wish I was here back then. But that's part of it too, is it changes. So
yeah, I understand. What so since you've been an artist, reflecting back over your journey, what is like one of the biggest challenges you had to overcome? How did you get through it?
I it's self-esteem. Like it's got to be insecurity in general, of just kind of being BMX. I didn't realize how BMX was pretty natural to me. Like I said before, it was magnetic, so it came simply to me, and I worked really hard at it. But it like I just could see myself. I could see where I was at with it because I could see my peers and how good I was, and then it just kind of like slowly grew. But art is hard because your frame of reference can change so much. Of just like, if you're doing like there was a time frame that I did active shows, and I did more shows and like had stuff around town, and that time frame was awesome, and I would like more or less like sell everything I posted. Like I didn't have a big scope of work just sitting around, because every time I posted something, someone would be like, I want to buy that. And I was like, that's awesome. Then I felt inadequate as an artist that didn't have a portfolio to show, or, you know, enough pieces to do a big show. And so there's just a lot of insecurities, because every layer that you unlock is like a new layer to face, like, you know. And I think that became part of my experience, is just like, all right, now I'm learning how to be vulnerable and like put my art, this new type of art that I've done, out in a way that I don't know how it's going to be received. I don't know if people are going to enjoy it. I think people do, but at the same time, it's challenging to just like truly put yourself out there to be criticized or be complimented. Either one of them is hard sometimes.
Right. Making yourself vulnerable.
Yeah. I think that's a big part of it for sure.
Yeah. Like not like releasing and not giving too much weight to what people think of it, but also going into it with that mindset where you don't think too much about what people think of it. You just make it. And then if you create it and then release it and then keep doing it, if you do it fast enough, then you start quit worrying about what people think.
You don't get hung up on it. And it's like, it's hard. Again, it kind of just, it goes through seasons of like what you measure it by, because there was times that I've sold pieces or was commissioned for pieces that were like, to me, I was like, I've made it. This is it. This is like, I couldn't fathom selling stuff, let alone selling stuff for like something that I thought was like solidified me as like an artist that was able to sell something, like something that I made. Like a lot of times I just have imposter syndrome of just like, but I made that. Why is that worth anything? So it's a lot of self-worth. It's a lot of like kind of digging up where that comes from. But then also it's like, I've had the same conversation recently where now that I have this space, I've had friends be like, you're doing it. Like you're actually doing it. I'm like, but I don't feel like I am, because I haven't sold a painting in, you know, I'm comparing it to a previous time.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's all true. It's all like, I am all those things all wrapped up in it, but it's usually just what I'm comparing it to, and like
right.
how strong that kind of insecurity is at that moment. But yeah,
I understand. So do you have what is your biggest personal growth from last year, this year?
My biggest personal what?
Personal growth.
Growth. Ooh. The question I was asked the most last year through various ways, whether it was my girlfriend, my boss, my therapist, everyone, the same question that kind of came up over and over again was, what do you want? Like, what is it that you want? And it's taken a long time to kind of like take stock in like what I actually want. I usually get kind of ping ponged around, and I'll kind of go with whatever's in front of me. For lack of, you know, better phrasing, it's kind of just like, this is this, and this is this. And I don't usually slow down enough to be like, what do I want to focus on or create? And I, like, the last handful of years have been like very challenging for me in a lot of ways. Of like, I had a business with two friends that we shut down, and we had that for a few years, and it was like, got to a point of burnout and exhaustion and like really, really unhealthy, like mental health kind of periods of time. And then that caused other things to kind of slip. Friendships, relationships kind of like fell through the cracks. And then there's a lot of like, you're just digging into the emotional side of things in all of that. And you lose focus of like what you actually want in life. And so what I've been learning this year the most, and it really kind of solidified back in December in a lot of ways, but was just like the type of life I want to have, the things I want to give myself to, and how I want to spend my time and energy, and what type of person I want to be in all of these different categories. And so, yeah, just navigating a lot of like, all right, like, it's all in front of me. What do I want to do with it? Like, yeah, how do I want to show up to these things? Because a lot of times I'll just let life kind of like cruise control it for me, and I'll just kind of go through stuff and kind of like almost wake up one day and just be like, oh, like, where am I at in all of this? Like, I haven't really checked in with myself in a while. So yeah, I get pretty distracted by things and pretty busy with stuff. And then, even right now, the first thing I'm thinking of is like, I haven't talked to my brother in a few months, and it's like, it doesn't feel like a few months. It feels like a few weeks, but it's just like those things of like life, like catches up, like it just kind of can blaze through real quick. And then you're like, wait a minute, I forgot an important part that I do care about. And like, just connecting with the people around me and not being so fixated on what I'm trying to do. So
yeah, sometimes you have to like let life happen to you.
Yes.
Like, instead of like my will always has to be done.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's best when you don't get what you want.
It really is. And it's also a lesson in like regulation, like emotional, mental, physical regulation of just like slowing down, creating spaces for ritual, like just being in a space to like return to a spot, whether it's a yoga mat or whether it's my studio or anywhere that just helps you like slow down for a second and like creates an intentional kind of like pause in life. Because like I said, in Nashville too, specifically Nashville, there's so much to do all the time. And you get like, I get burnt out trying to just keep track of it. And you have to let go of so many things. And then you also have to just reset and like take a walk and like go take a few laps at the air park and like, or go to Shelby and like take a few laps and just like breathe it all in. So I've been learning more about like that type of growth and regulation this year of just like consistent things that help remind me to slow down and just like be where I'm at rather than grasping for somewhere else.
I understand.
Yeah.
How can people support you as an artist?
You could come out to the opening on the 15th. That'd be fun. I think right now I want to build community. I think I've met so many great people in the art community and I want them to meet each other. And so for me, I'm going to work on building this brand and building that side of things, which is like geared towards BMX, but it's for anyone that appreciates it. There's going to be art, there's going to be zines, there's going to be, clothing, there's going to be all those things. But then also on the physical side of art, like, I mean, coming out to I've done a number of pop-ups this year, just like I call them open studios. And I usually do a theme or a kind of a series. And I think that's like just meeting people is the best way. So coming out to an open studio or even just, I mean, even a cup of coffee. Like I just want to meet other people that are interested in like talking about art and talking about like the ideas that they're working through. So that's a whole nother side tangent of like wanting to move more into creative coaching and like helping people like work through the same things that I work through. But yeah, I think if you want to support my art, you should go walk in the woods for a little bit, because that will probably like just, that is the type of art and life that I hope other people create. So it's probably less to do with me and more about like how you look at the world.
Walk in the woods, go walk at Porter trails, and
it's
still a magical place.
It is. Go soak up the energy.
Even though there's, it still like feels like Rufio's hangout.
It does. It's funny you say that, because there was a place that my friend had in Richmond where he built an entire ramp setup in their basement, and it went through like rooms, and it felt like Hook. It felt like the Lost Boys hideout, and it was so wild to experience. And it was something I love collecting. I just love collecting life, and that's a feeling that I want to take to other places. And that like the fact that feels like Porter felt like that is like, that's cool, because we know what that feeling feels like.
Yeah, dude. I always felt that going there, and whenever I bring people there, I'd be like, doesn't this feel like where Rufio would hang out?
Right.
And they're like, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Okay, just got a few more questions.
Yeah,
for you.
Absolutely.
How do you like to consume media? Do you have favorite YouTubes you like videos you like to watch? Do you like books? Do you like, you said video games?
Yeah, I haven't done video games recently because I'll lose myself in video games. You will not see me ever again if I play video games. I love YouTube so much. Favorite stuff, I love interior space and like design stuff. So one of my favorite channels is Never Too Small, and it's design, interior design, and kind of like spatial organization kind of stuff, where like people that have unique or small spaces kind of like talk about how they made it work for them, and like what kind of like intricacies there are with not having a lot of square footage, and just being like, this is a very intentional, like everything has an intention in it. And I think that mindfulness in that sense is like really fun to listen to how other people create their spaces. Yeah. So that's something that I, pull a lot of inspiration from, is just like what it means to create a space, like for other people to step into, or yourself to step into. And I mean, yeah, the feng shui of everything, like where stuff lives, and like, yeah, it like, I mean, I feel like that with, I mean, specifically like every area of life, I can see a version of it. But even a drum set, like every so often I'd just change it. I would remove a tom, or I'd move a cymbal, or I'd do something, and I'd just feel how it felt different. And I think that that's something that I look for in, I guess, every area. So when people are talking about their space, they're like, we took out this wall and we moved this up here, and the light comes in this way. And I think it's just so fascinating to hear people kind of
intentional.
Like, yeah, it's very intentional. And it also utilizes something that may be atypical. So it feels a little bit like a recycled or a DIY kind of mentality of like, we're not going to build something completely new. A lot of times it's like older kind of industrialized kind of areas that are repurposed. So I think that those things are really fun. But yeah, I try to listen to, I mean, I try to read as much as I can when I slow down enough to. Like right now I'm kind of more into poetry stuff. I was in Ireland in December and picked up a poetry book. Wow. So I think that like winter is a good poetry time. It's just like, it kind of goes back to the whole dying thing. It's like, don't give it a lot of narrative, give it a lot of like,
it's like memento mori.
Yeah. It is. Yeah, it's good to kind of have different seasons of things. So I think that, yeah, right now it's been some poetry. It's been some kind of just trying to just get off social media in the way I've been consuming it, which is just like consuming, trying to use it more as the social aspect of like connecting with people to make plans to like go hang out or like do something else. But yeah.
Nice. What about movies? Do you like movies?
I love movies. I haven't watched a lot recently. I mean,
or top favorite movies you like?
Top favorite movies. I mean, the original, it comes to mind because I didn't watch it this year, and I usually watch it around Halloween, but I love the original Wicker Man.
Oh, really?
It's so good. I love any kind of folk horror, kind of cult, like centric type of movie or something like that. The original Wicker Man is great. There's, I mean, another one that came to mind just immediately was Holy Mountain, which is like,
Alejandro Jodorowsky's. Yeah, that movie was wild.
It is wild.
They're shaving their heads in the beginning.
It's crazy. It's a crazy movie.
Jesus' face is like smushed, or like
everything about it is just like it kind of like blows another layer through everything. And like, yeah, I mean, it's funny because it's like, I'll go through seasons of stuff. And there was a season where I just went to the Belcourt by myself and just watched whatever art film they were playing, like whatever weird, like whatever strange kind of like off the beaten path, like up in the upstairs little theater they would play. Like I would just go watch new things. And so I I definitely go through seasons of just like deep diving art type of art house movies or documentaries or something like that. But I don't know, not too much recently. Just been trying to be in the studio more often and kind of let the noise of all this other stuff that kind of just overwhelms kind of die down for a little bit.
I understand.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to add that I might not have asked you about?
I mean, one thing that it did recently was my friend Eric and I put out a short film that went live last week on digbmx.com, and it was a short film that we made in the fall of 2023, and it was kind of like an interpretation of what riding is like to me these days. And so it's about 10 minutes long, but it kind of gives you, again, a peek behind the curtain of just like what it's actually like. Like a lot of BMX content and media, or just life in general, is you see the end result, but you don't see how you got there. Kind of like we were talking about before. It's just like, you're not trying to dance to a spot on the floor. You're trying to dance in the moment of it, or you're trying to move around. And so that was something that we tried to do, which was like just capture the feeling of it more than the actual like spectacle of it. And it was a really, really fun project. And the response of it has been pretty overwhelmingly like great. Like it's nice to make something and then have people say that I feel this, like this is cool, and this is something that like makes me want to go do what I just saw. And
what is it called?
It's called Here. And I did an interview with that same media company or magazine, Dig, 10 years ago, and it was called Nearly There. And my friend Andrew and I shot an interview where he just took photos of everything. And usually if you're shooting photos of stuff, you'll film it as well, just so you have both forms of things. And we just shot photos, and a lot of times it's like you want to have the footage of it to actually show, but we didn't do that. And we had this interview, and when it came out, he titled it Nearly There. And I was like, what does that mean? Like, it always haunted me for years. I was like, what does it mean? Like, it didn't feel like a theme, or there wasn't anything that tied it together. It just kind of felt like I was like, he was seeing something that I didn't see, like nearly there, but to what? And I just kind of reflected on it for years. And then Eric and I were making this film, and I was like, I know the title, and it's just Here. It's just like wherever the nearly there was, it's here. It's nowhere else. It's like this. And it's accepting and, again, honoring what life is like right now in its current circumstances. Like, I don't have the same body I did when I was 18 and like jumping downstairs and like able to spend 8 hours a day riding my bike on a given weekend day or something like that. Like right now, I work a full-time job. I have responsibilities. I do a lot of other things. Sometimes I get like an hour or so to go ride, and that's what it is. And like, there's no deficit in that, but there always was in my mind, because I wasn't doing it like other people were able to do it in their given schedules. So it was an exercise of just being like, this is what it is. And that's the case for like most of BMX riders, are like people that work normal jobs and then go do it on their free time.
Yeah.
So why would you try to make it anything different? Like, so we just tried to make something that was very personal to us. And Eric is a great eye. Like, he sees things in the grit of like texture and sound that he's able to capture and then highlight as part of the storytelling. And I think that the sound design of this whole film is like one of my favorite things ever. He just did such a great job of like literally like I would listen to it on headphones and just be like, this sounds so cool. Like this is fun. So I would encourage people to check that out. Yeah. Like that's definitely something that is more recent and again, kind of another glimpse into a portion of my life, I suppose.
Nice. And so we can go to here BMX or
Dig BMX.
BMX.com to see it.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, awesome. All right, here's the last question.
Okay.
What is something absurd you love or do?
Ooh. Whoa. I feel like there's a lot of them. This was the last thing that I felt like was the most absurd kind of like call out I got. But like, I love baths. Like baths are great. And sometimes if I'm like particularly like overstimulated in life and like I love to take a bath with a bath towel that's just like a heavy weight, like a weighted blanket, and just like relax in it. And I forgot to hang it up last time I did that. And my girlfriend saw it and she's like, what is that? I was like, oh, that's my bath towel.
Like,
and
so
yeah. And she was just like, what is that? And I was like, oh, it's like a weighted blanket in a bathtub. And she just kind of blew her mind. And that's kind of a bizarre thing that I enjoy. It's like a sensory thing.
Yeah,
it's just
perfect.
like, it's like, weighted blankets are great. You feel comfortable, but you're like cozy in the water. I don't know.
I mean, I've definitely thought about sleeping in the bathtub.
It's great.
Like,
but
taking a nap.
Yeah, but the weight of it, I don't know. It's just, there's something soothing about it. But yeah.
Awesome.
I don't know.
Well, thank you, Joel.
Thank you for having me
over and doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.